Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Growth Capital Podcast. I am your host, Justin Dixon, and today we've got Chloe Fabiani, who is the founder and CEO of Paaw, which is a platform to help centralize pet adoption and pet services. So she is French, which you'll realize very quickly in the episode because she's got a very French accent, which is great. But we talk a lot about how she's a pet lover. She's been an entrepreneur since college. She started businesses in college. She's worked for a few startups, and then she realized she really wanted to get back into the startup world as a founder. And 4 years ago, she started Paaw in France and then moved to the US in January of 2026 to really focus on launching Paaw across the US. We talk a lot about pet adoption, the pluses, the minuses, all the problems that are with it right now, and why Paaw is going to be, in her words, the first and last platform that a pet owner will need. So I think you'll get a lot out of this episode, whether you're a pet lover or a founder. So let's get Chloe on the pod. Interested in hearing conversations with private equity leaders, CEOs of private equity-backed companies, and startup entrepreneurs where they share their stories about their career journeys, starting, investing in, and scaling successful businesses, and the important role that having the right talent plays in building a successful business, then you are in the right place. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth Capital Podcast. Here's your host, Justin Dixon. All right, Chloe, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being a guest.
Hi, Justin. Nice. Thank you so much, and nice to meet you.
Yeah, well, let's jump right in. Maybe give a little bit of an overview of who you are, where you are, and what you're up to right now.
Sure. So I'm currently based in San Francisco. I moved in January with an O1 visa to continue to scale and to grow my company, Paaw. Who I am. So I started my career as an entrepreneur. I created my first company when I was in college at 23 years old. It was a branding, growth, and acquisition agency. So I was advising founders. And then I worked as a head of growth for two different startups that get acquired. So I learned a lot with these founders, with these successful founders at that time. And I ended up working in a VC fund based in France and in California. And at that time, I realized two things. The first one is I was a founder and I wanted to go back on the other side of the table. And the second thing is that the common point between the founders that go the furthest is that they are passionate about their product and they have a mission. And I am a pet lover. I grew up with a dog and he was my best friend. So I started to do some research in this space and I discovered that pet ownership is a $200 billion market with no operating system. Everything is fragmented and disconnected. On one side, you have adoption, pet adoption. 5 million pets get euthanized in shelters every year in the US.
5 million?
5 million.
Holy cow.
Because the adoption process is broken. So first you have a lot of abandonments, unfortunately, but also due to mismatches, people adopt pets that are wrong for them and they end up in shelters. So that's one thing that we are trying to solve with Paaw. But I'm sure you're going to have more questions from me about it.
Yeah. I'm just still wrapping my brains around. So you said 5 million pets or 5 million dogs get euthanized?
5 million pets.
Pets, got it. That's just a staggering number. I mean, I get it, but like it's, that's incredible. So you've been an entrepreneur kind of since the start, right? Like seems like that you were kind of drawn to it. I'm always fascinated about people's origin stories. And obviously your origin story as an entrepreneur started way back in college. I'm curious now that you've started Paaw, how has the entrepreneurial journey changed since college to today? Like starting a business is, different, similar? How did it feel back then to now?
So at that time, you had to do everything. You have to write all the documents with the hand or ask an attorney to do it, just to register your company. First, that's the first step. So now you just write a prompt on ChatGPT and you win a week. So it just started is more easy. And then it's all the process. Everything is so different. Even when I started Paaw 4 years ago in France, and it was also not the same. Now with AI, so I'm based in SF. So also for the past months, I can see where we are now compared to just 6 months ago and where we are going. The world is moving like crazy. I have one of my good friends. So I have friends at Anthropic and OpenAI.
Okay.
And so, so I have lunch with them quite often, to know what are the trends, where we are going. And every week they have like something completely new to announce, another product, a better version of the AI. My friend at OpenAI was telling me that sometimes they leave, at the end of the day, they leave at like 10 p.m. They ask something at the AI, it couldn't answer. So next day it can answer like perfectly.
Interesting. So it's changing that rapidly, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, I have tools like today. I have tools that I didn't have a week ago. The tools I'm gonna have in a week don't exist today, maybe, So that's how the world is changing, as fast as the world is changing. So also, for example, what I was doing when I was in college was basically finding clients, startups, to advise them on their marketing, growth, and content strategy. So I had to ask my network, reach every entrepreneur one by one, to say, hey, I can do that. I was spending time making like a deck with all the strategy we wanted to propose. And then when I was signing a client, I had to think about the strategy.
I do feel like that people are lacking the ability to think, because anytime you want to think about something, you just go to ChatGPT or you open Google or whatever. I do think that the art of thinking and coming up with a novel thought is starting to be eroded by everybody's just instant move to AI, which I think obviously it has access to all the information you should possibly want. However, I do think that their humanization or dehumanization of thought is becoming a little bit more rampant. But I think there's a lot of AI human integration that will help speed up the thought process. Like you said, as an entrepreneur, you can build things in Lovable, you can build things in ChatGPT or Claude Cowork or Claude Code that, as a non-technical person myself, I could never dream of creating, right? So I'm curious about, obviously you started Paaw 4 years ago in France. You've been in the US. Did you just start in the US market when you moved in January, or had you started to integrate into some US companies or US adoption processes prior to relocating earlier this year?
Yeah, so I was traveling back and forth for a year between SF and Paris. I launched the platform the last summer.
Okay.
So 10 months ago in the US with a US friendly product, because, in Europe we have kilometers, we don't have miles, we have kilo and not pounds. So we had to build like a US friendly product. Okay. And we launched officially last summer. And I will give you some numbers. So since the launch in France, we made 28,000 adoption in France. And we work with about 2,000 shelters. Since the launch in the US, we made 60,000 adoption.
60,000 adoption.
60,000.
Wow.
We are growing so much faster. So the demand is here. The market is bigger. We kind of knew it, that the world need our product. We are building something that the world needs, because on the shelter side, they need an infrastructure to be more organized and to have more time. On the user side, we need to centralize all the animals on one places to make the process easier. But also we are building Oscar AI, because we've been collecting data about 100,000 pets and 100,000 users today using our product. So we can now support the pet owners when they are thinking about adopting a pet, by encouraging them to ask themselves the right question. So for example, Justin, do you have a pet?
We have 2 cats.
Oh, lovely. What's their name?
Nigel and Daryl.
Okay. And how did you adopted them?
They were both shelter cats. We wanted a second cat because we had our first cat when my wife and I got married. She brought a cat into our relationship, and we wanted a second. So we got Nigel, and then unfortunately Andy died of cancer. So then my wife had an emotional response, and the next day went out and bought or found Daryl. So it was very much we had a shelter that we got Nigel from, and that was the same shelter I think she went back to get the second cat. So
lovely. And how many time did you spend to find the right product and the right services for your cat?
That would be a better question for her, but I imagine we just kind of relied on the shelter, the one shelter that we went to, right? We didn't. Luckily, we already had a cat that we, had a vet, so we went to that same vet for those. But yeah, we definitely relied on just the single source of truth, which was the shelter that we got them from, essentially.
Yeah, because you build a trust relationship with them. So that's
Right.
also what we are building with Paaw. It's because the pet owners, when they arrive on our platform, they are very emotional. That's the most important time when you choose the
Yeah.
pet that's going to share your life. So that we are building trust at that time. And we want also to recommend them the best products and the best services to avoid the pet to end up in shelters. So you
Yeah.
have cats, so they are more independent. But a lot of person love dogs, but they
Yep.
work 10 hours per day. So by using Oscar, we're gonna recommend them pet sitter, dog walker around them, so they can have a solution even before adopting the animal. And we want to be the, we Oscar is the agentic connection from the adoption to the care to the products. So we are becoming the first and the last platform a pet owner will ever need.
And on the front end, so if I'm a potential pet owner, right? Like I don't have a pet and maybe I want to get a dog or a cat, whatever. I'm guessing, and I haven't done this process myself, but I'm guessing the old way prior to Paaw is that you had to go Google a pet shelter, assuming you weren't going to buy it from a breeder or something like that, right? Let's assume it's all shelter based. You want to rescue a pet, right? I'm assuming you have to go to each individual shelter website to maybe see the list of inventory, air quotes, of what they have in store, and maybe you've got to call them and be like, hey, I'm looking for this type. I mean, cats are pretty generic, right? You either get a gray cat, an orange cat, or a calico, right? There's very few like options, especially like we got these in Philadelphia, so they were all kind of from the streets, as they say. So, but for dogs, you've got different variations of dog, right? You've got big dogs, small dogs, loud dogs, dogs that want to run, etc. So, does yours, in the very simplest terms, in the initial, is you help to aggregate all of the shelter data of available dogs or cats, so that I can say, I want this type of a dog, but the local shelter doesn't have it, but the one 10 miles away in another town does, but I may not know about that unless I Googled and found that other shelter. Is that the baseline support of how yours is showing more options, essentially, in the beginning?
Exactly. You
Okay.
completely understand what we are doing. So there is 40,000 shelters in the US, rescues and shelters. So it's super fragmented. And if you want a specific breed or just a small white dog who is friendly with cats, you have to ask every single shelters. So today we work with 2,000 shelters. We are onboarding about 100, 200 shelters per month right now.
Okay.
So we work with the shelters, they upload the pets on our platform. And on the user side, if you are looking for a pet, you go on paaw.co, Paaw.co, and you're going to answer to some question. You tell us what are you looking for, and we're going to show you all the cute white dogs around you in like the 10 shelters that are around you. So you gain so much time, you win so much time on the research. And then you can centralize the request also to see and we, with Oscar, the goal also is to recommend you the best pet for you, because even if a cute white dog you find it very, very cute, maybe it's not the right fit for you because he's not friendly with your two cats.
Yeah. Interesting. And then obviously each dog and each breed of dog has kind of different mannerisms, right? And then I'm guessing that Oscar will then, if it doesn't now, will eventually understand the personality or the work lifestyle of the pet owner to say, hey, you live in a 1-bedroom apartment, you have another dog or a cat, and you go to the office every day. And so you may not want a dog that needs to go out constantly, wants to run, wants to be active, because it's going to be sat in a home or it's going to be in a crate all day, right? So does that kind of start to help the pet owner almost suggest different pets that may be better suited to their lifestyle?
Exactly. Yeah. We are working now on on Oscar, you have a quick search and a personalized search. On the personalized search, we indeed ask if you live in an apartment, in a house, and if you have a backyard. To also, we have so many, the shelters, they give us so many information data about the pets. So by collecting data about you, we can definitely match all this data to make the perfect match, to avoid the pet owners to be unhappy also. Because so you know why pet adoption is booming for the past 10 years. Do you know why?
No. I know COVID was a big boom, and then it also was a bust because a lot of people got pets during COVID and then realized, oh crap, I'm going back to the office. I can't actually handle this pet. But you tell me the answer because I don't know why.
So two reasons. The first one is that prices are rising. All over the world, prices are rising. So it starts to be so expensive to have a kid, especially in the US. So now people prefer to have dogs than kids. In San Francisco, you have more dogs than kids.
Interesting.
And more than half of my friends, they don't have kids. They have pets, you know? So we start to completely reverse the trend. And also due to like screens, social media, AI, we have less contact with human. So even now, you know, we are doing a podcast. We're not in the same room. We have way less contact with humans, but we still need connection, and we are finding connection with pets. Yeah. So pet adoption, it's a trend, but it's just the beginning. And you know, I often have the question: what's the difference between the French market, where we are leader today, and the US market? I don't see any difference. The trend I just mentioned are global. Prices are rising, like people getting isolating with screens. It's global. Asia, South America. That's the pet adoption is definitely a growing market, and it's just the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, some days, I work from home most days, and I talk to my cats more than humans, other than on the phone or on screens, right? So, so I can relate as somebody that does that. That's interesting. And I guess as you kind of see the evolution of the pet adoption world, obviously we've got, I think the aggregation of just the data, so that if I'm looking for a pet in Campbell, California, where I am, I know about all the pet shelters outside of my immediate ecosystem, right? Because I may only know one or two. So I think that's interesting. And I think some shelters are no kill, meaning that any pets that are adopted or rescued by them, they don't kill them. They just stay there for as long as they can, I think. I could be wrong. So are you going more after the kill shelters, that if they're not adopted by a certain period of time, those pets are euthanized, to kind of hope to reduce the 5 million that are euthanized each year? Or are you just going after all pet shelters, regardless of if they are no kill or kill?
We work with any type of shelters. So okay. I don't know I can't answer this, but what's worse for a pet? Like being euthanized after like few years waiting for a family, or just a pet waiting like forever in a cage?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer that. Life is important, but a life in a cage, I don't know. You know, I really can't answer this question. I don't have the answer, but yeah, we work with any type of shelters because we want like to, and maybe, you know, a pet in a non-kill shelters will be a better fit for someone that want to adopt a pet than a dog in a kill shelter. Yeah, the goal is to power half of the US adoption on our platform by in the next few years. So we definitely work with any type of rescues and shelters. Yeah, you know, there's the market is, so everyone think about shelters, but more like most of the non-profit that work in animal welfare today are rescues that work with foster families, and they don't have like a physical place like shelters.
Yep. I was actually going to ask that because we got our Nigel from, he was fostered. His whole family was dropped off at a shelter. That whole family then was fostered by this person, and that's how we got introduced to this foster, parent. And then we went to her house and we picked out the cat, and that the rest is history, as they say. So I'm wondering also, let's say I adopt a pet and my life changes, where I used to work from home and then I lost that job and then I get another job. And so now I've got to go into an office 5 days a week, even though I don't want to. Instead of that person taking that pet to a shelter, do you almost like allow them to upload that as like, hey, I've got this pet that I can no longer respectfully or responsibly care for. I'd like to have somebody else adopt it because it's a great pet?
Yeah, we call that rehoming.
Okay.
So we don't have it yet on the platform, but that's also in our roadmap to have this one of these service on the platform to be to rehome your pet, to avoid the pet to go in a shelter and then go out to be adopted. That's like a step we can avoid with rehoming platform. But on Oscar, you can also explain your situation, and maybe Oscar will have a great pet sitter to avoid that, because the pet, a pet is either a cat or a dog, is so like close and dependent of their owner. They really, really love their owners. So there's other alternative before rehoming a pet. I guess so.
Right. Yeah. And on Paw, speaking of cat care or pet care, do you also show people like, hey, if you need additional services, if you already have a pet, regardless if you got it through the Paw system or not, do you also kind of show available pet trainers, adopt, or like almost like, what are they called? Kennels, where they can drop off their dog if they need to go on vacation or anything like that. Do you provide like a wraparound service or introductions to these other service providers?
Yeah, so we're currently working on this. First, we focused on adoption.
Yep.
Because adoption is the entry point. That's where we acquire our user. We acquire our user today for 10 cents. We have a cost per click on Google Ads. The cost per click is at 1 cent.
Wow.
And then we have a CAC at 10 cents to convert a visitor to a registered user that give us information and send an application adoption. So we currently focus on this, on this acquisition, part, on the also shelter side, to onboard shelters, to onboard users, to make adoptions.
Yep.
And on the other hand, we have brands reaching out to us every day to be on our platform. So now that's going to be through Oscar, because we are currently growing the acquisition, the number of users on our platform, but we don't want to impact the trust by putting like so many different partners. So that's why Oscar is so important, the AI layer on top of this. It's because it's going to bring you what do you need. It's not based on the cost per lead the partner will pay us. It's going to be based on what do you need. So we are currently working on that, onboarding the right partners, and we need data from them. So now everything is like related to the data we have on the partner side, on the platform side. And we want to make the perfect match, for the products and the services too.
Yeah. How does the platform make money? Are you charging the shelters to be on the platform, or because some of the adoption, I think we paid $100, I think, for our cat. I don't know how much it is for dogs, but like how do the economics work for the business?
Yeah, so we have different revenue streams.
Okay.
The first one is brand partnership. So we put some space on our website. We have also some affiliate program with pet insurance. I also had that having a pet insurance, it's so important, because sometimes an accident can happen and the veterinarian cost can be so high, and a lot of pets get abandoned, end up in shelters because of that, because people can't afford the veterinarian cost. So we work currently with pet insurance, and we have affiliate programs on our website. So we send leads, we paid per lead and per conversion also. And we also put some paid features on the adoption process that are optional. We let the choice to the users to pay if they want. So to have a fast answer at the end of the process, we wanted to see if the user were willing to pay. And actually, yes, 10% chose to pay because they love the experience and they love the product. So that's how today we monetize. We didn't focus on that right now, so it's not optimized. But we generate about 16,000 monthly revenue right now.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because I was just curious how obviously providing the service is phenomenal, but as a business, you need to survive, right? As the business, you need to have some economics that make sense. Obviously, the market in the US is, I don't know how many times larger from just a pure population perspective is from France, but how do you see the expansion? Is US kind of your target? Obviously, you're here now. Or is it like all focused on US expansion and trying to dominate the US market? Because France is already kind of not done, but like you're optimized there. Like, how does your expansion look?
Now we focus on the US market. We want to build the product that the pet owner will need. As I said before, we want to be the first and the last platform a pet owner will ever need by building the operating system of pet ownership from the adoption to the care to the products. And that's why I moved to SF, because building like very good user-friendly data-driven product, it's where we are today. That's where that happened. But then when we are satisfied with the product, and when we powered a certain number of adoption in the US market, we want to expand in other markets. So that's so interesting. We have a map of our users today. And we can see we have users all over the world, while we communicate only in 2 markets. So there is a strong, there is a strong demand, global demand for our product. I talk with some friends that are founders in other markets, in Thailand or even in Japan. And they're like, Chloe, you should launch Paaw. It makes so much sense, and we need something like that. So we, since day one, I'm convinced that we are going to change the way people adopt pets globally. I know that this is a product that the world needs. It's not another AI CRM,
It's not another wrapper around OpenAI or ChatGPT or something like that. It's serving a purpose, which we are
saving animals' life, and we are helping also with loneliness.
No, it's interesting. Are you thinking about expanding outside of dogs and cats? Like if somebody wanted to adopt, I don't even know if you can adopt like a turtle or a bird or something like that. Like, is that just too small of a niche market to even make sense to add it to your platform?
Okay, so if you go on Paaw now, you're going to see that we have so many different type of animals. So we have turtle, we have reptiles, we have birds, we have, the most like crazy animal that we've seen is crab. And alpaca. So there's a rescue somewhere in the country that are rescuing crabs. I think it must be from a breeder, or like, where they breed crabs for like to be eaten. I guess it should be a rescue for that. But we already have any type of animals. You can also find a lot of rodents. The cute like mouse or chinchillas or rats. That's so many cute animals, not just cat and dogs.
There are, there's the flavor of ice cream for everybody. There's a pet style for everybody. I think is the same way. So,
did you always had cats, or you had other animals before?
I grew up on a small farm. We had pigs, we had chickens, we had a sheep at one point, rabbits. We always had cats because they were always outside mostly, and then they would, keep the barn free of rats and mice and all the other fun stuff. So, but my wife grew up with dogs. We had a dog on our farm, but it was an outside dog. It just showed up at our house one day and wouldn't leave, so we just kind of kept it. And we lived in a very small town in Pennsylvania, so that was somewhat normal, that just pets would show up if you were nice. And then one day it just left and never came back about 2 years later. So it was, quite fascinating. But I think for our lifestyle, cats are more aligned with our structure. It would be great for certain instances. Like my wife's always taught, she runs and we run, and she's like, oh, it'd be so good to have a dog to go running with. But then it's like the other 90% of the time, cats are much more aligned to our lifestyle than a dog. So I think it's just different strokes, different folks.
And pet choices. Sometimes you can adopt a dog, but the dog doesn't like to run. So
that's exactly right. There's a lot of big dogs that are lazy and all that fun stuff. So one thing that she did bring up that I think is interesting is like you have dog walkers and things like that. She was like, I would love to have a friend that had a dog but they didn't run, but the dog wanted to run all the time. So she could just go over, pick up the dog, go for a run, and then drop it back off. And the dog would get some exercise, but the owners wouldn't have to deal with it. She would deal with it. So, U.S. domination of the adoption space is your main focus. I guess layering back in the AI part of the conversation, obviously, you've got Oscar AI that you're continuing to optimize and added more data and more features. And obviously, it'll get smarter and provide a lot more data to you and the users and probably the shelters, I would imagine, so that they can, understand what's going on and everything. How are you leveraging it as a founder, how big is the Paaw team? Talk a little bit about kind of the kind of backside of the business. And then, how are you leveraging it as a founder and within your company?
We currently work with a small team and a lot of agents.
Yeah.
But we have 2% currently onboarding the shelters. So that's something AI could never replace. It's to have humans calling other humans and create a connection to, especially, we are dealing with animals' life. So it could not be like an AI voice I'd call shelters and say, hey guys, come on our platform. They need to understand that they can trust us and that we are real animal lover and that we care about this mission. So I have an amazing team for that. They are two. We have, of course, someone technical working on the product. I'm also, since I'm in SF now, I'm vibe coding. Yeah. So I use Cursor, I use Codex. I am currently building Oscar AI right now. It's so easy. Now is like a good tool. Now everyone can build a product. That's crazy.
Yeah. I've had a few non-technical founders on the podcast who 3 years ago they've always had ideas, right? And I would lump myself into this where you have a lot of ideas, but as a non-technical person, I'm like, oh, I've got this idea for a better mousetrap, but I can't code, I can't develop, and I don't want to go spend X thousands of dollars to have somebody build me a minimal viable product, right? So now if I have an idea for something, it could be just something very useful for myself, or it could be something that could be useful for other people, but I can go into Lovable or Cursor and, tell it, here's what I'm trying to build, and it builds it. I mean, I even did something, I'm starting to dabble with Claude Cowork, and I'm like, I want to build this, BDR for myself. And it's like, oh, well, here's what you need to do. And I can go build it. And I'm like, okay. And so it is just this weird inflection point with AI where, unfortunately, there's a lot of AI slop out there where there's a lot of people just building, like I said, wrappers around an LLM, which eventually that wrapper will become obsolete because the LLM, the open AIs and Anthropics of the world would just add that as a feature, or AI will be smart enough to just figure it out. So I think it's interesting that, we as non-technical people, and I won't lump you into that, but as non-technical person myself, like you can have ideas and get pretty far down the road of building something pretty technical without having a technical bone in my body, frankly. So are you using it also as like, I've talked to a lot of people and I use it this way as a thought partner, like actually talking to it and like asking it, being like, I've got a different projects that are like, this is a finance focused persona. This is a marketing focused persona. So if I have business ideas or kind of areas I want to go after, I ping each different persona and then it gives me a specific response based on that persona.
Yeah, I have different projects on the open, like ChatGPT and Claude. And even of what I'm doing, I open one of the project and you already have all the persona and the content he needs, to answer me more specifically.
Yep. Got it. So where does Paaw go in the next 12 months? Like, obviously you mentioned kind of that you're like 16K in per month, but where does I think you said, how many shelters do you have in the US so far?
Around 2,000.
2,000. Okay. So where's the end of the year? We're recording this in early May. So where does end of 2026 kind of look for you ideally?
Yeah. So I'm having 4,000 shelters on our platform in the US market, which we reached 60,000 adoption in 5 months. So we want to reach around 200 by the end of the year. And and reaching also onboarding, so building the better version of Oscar to be able to launch Oscar. Now it's a beta version that our friends are testing, and onboarding partners that we can upload on Oscar. So every like area of the company are connected, and everything need to grow in the same time to be like what the company we want to be.
Got it. Well, it sounds like you are off to a flying start here in the US. Thank you for coming to the US and bringing Paaw, because I do think I actually have to show this to my wife. Actually, I'm hesitant to do it because she, she's always like, I want to get another cat, and I'm like, well, I don't. Well, one, we can't have another one in our current living situation, but yeah, I think this would make it too easy for her to just like peruse the market of what's available and want to go get another cat somehow. But I'll definitely have to show it to her. So no, I really appreciate you kind of having this mission and drive to solve a very needed problem, because my sister was the recipient of a rehoming scenario where the owner had a big dog and a cat that they spent a lot of money on. They bought it from breeders, and unfortunately, they just couldn't keep both, and so they had to make a very difficult decision. And they ended up asking my sister, who had taken care of the cat while they were on vacation a few times, if she would take it. And so it was, for her, it was a match made in heaven. But it was just that different people's lives change. And so there are these platforms are very needed, because I don't know what, I'm assuming if my sister would not have been able to take it, they probably would have given it to some type of shelter, which is terrible to think about, essentially. So, well, let's kind of wind things down here. I could go on and ask you a lot more questions about dogs and cats and all that fun stuff, but we'll end this here with a 3-pack of questions that I ask every guest. So first question, yeah. What's like a book or a podcast that you may recommend and that you found kind of helpful?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have a different answer for that. So first, a friend recommended me this book, Skin in the Game. I haven't started, but apparently it's a great book. Then a book that's helped me a lot. It's more like a spiritual book, written by Young Pueblo.
Okay.
It's an amazing author. He wrote like different books, Inwards, The Way Forwards, and Connection. Yeah, it's like poems, but very spiritual, and poem that he can see in his meditation. So he's really like a very, very SF lifestyle, you know. But actually, also meditation is something that helped me so much, because as a founder, we have like so much intensity in our life. And so much stimulation in our brain. So sometimes we need to slow down, and meditation helped me so much. Also surfing helped me a lot.
Got it. Well, that probably answers the book's interesting, but that what you just mentioned with meditation and surfing probably answers the next question, which is, what are your favorite things to do outside of work? So maybe meditation and surfing are 1 and 2 on that list. But anything else you enjoy doing outside of the office, if you have a few minutes?
I mean, we were talking about it before starting. Hiking. We are in San Francisco. We are in California. So when we move to California, we have to hike. That's the national sport here.
That's exactly right.
Just, you know, being in the nature. I think, you know, just this morning. So now I have around like 5 to sometimes 10 meetings per day. So when I have 20 or 30 minutes, I just go like there is a park next to where I live, to just listen the birds, breathe the eucalyptus smell. And that's just, you know, rebalance the chemistry in my brain and help me to focus for the next meeting. So I think being in the nature, it's provide you the dopamine and the good hormone that you need to be able to have like a good and positive energy when you're building something to inspire people, inspire your team, inspire the investors, and keep going.
No, we live very close to the Los Gatos Trail, and so we can just walk on that and see a creek and see nature and all that fun stuff. Cool. So it does help to get out of the hustle and bustle every once in a while.
We definitely go. You say you didn't surf, you don't surf, but
correct.
We have to go surfing together then.
Then that's something we will definitely put on the calendar for sure.
Cool.
Awesome. Favorite vacation spot is our last question. So favorite vacation spot.
I love this question because for me, it's so easy to answer. Costa Rica, Santa Teresa. So Costa Rica, you know, I'm an animal lover. Like on my free time, I'm also watching like a documentary, animals documentary. I'm an animal lover. And Costa Rica for me, it's like Disneyland. Every 30 seconds, no, not even 30, every 10 seconds, you see a crazy wild animal. Like you have some sloths, you have like beautiful birds, toucans, or like just like very colorful birds. You have reptiles, you can see crocodiles, you can see like big lizards. You have monkeys, you have different type of monkeys also. And you can see that in like 1 hour, all these animals in just 1 hour.
Yeah.
And also the waves in the Pacific coast of Costa Rica are just the best. I'm not a good surfer, I'm an okay surfer. So for me, like the cute and smooth wave of Costa Rica are just perfect for me. So yeah, I think I'm gonna live in Costa Rica at a point, you know, when I retire from my tech life. I'm gonna live in Costa Rica at a point.
Love it. I've had Costa Rica. It's been recommended for this question a few different times. But my wife and I haven't gotten there yet, but that maybe be something we put on our list.
What's your favorite destination?
I would say at the moment, probably Tuscany. We've only been there once, but it was just a lovely, like 3 days we just spent kind of driving around the Tuscan countryside and going to these little cool villages and sitting on the verandas and sipping some really good wine and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I think Tuscany is definitely top of the list, places we've been so far.
Have you been in the French Riviera around Saint-Maxime, Saint-Tropez?
We've only been to Paris literally for like 12 hours. We were in London for a bit and we took the tube and we went to the Louvre. I don't know how you say it if you say the Louvre or whatever.
Le Louvre.
The Louvre, yeah. So we went there. We did a nice tour. We took a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower, and then we had to get back on the train and go back to London. But yeah, definitely someplace we need to go visit more for sure.
South of France, you will love it. If you like Tuscany, you will love the south of France on the east part of the south. It's where I grew up also, so I'm not very objective, but it's beautiful.
What, is that like Nice? I hear Nice is nice. That's always the saying, right?
Nice is okay. More if you go more like in the direction of Marseille.
Oh, okay.
So in the Var, in the department Le Var. Okay. So you have Saint-Raphaël, Saint-Maxime, Saint-Tropez. And these places are like small, still a lot of nature, beaches are beautiful, good wine. So yeah, like renting a car and do like different city in Le Var, I definitely recommend that.
Got it. Fair enough. Well, the good thing and bad thing of asking this question on, I think this is like, I don't know how many episodes I've done, but there's always places that I haven't been that I'm always like, okay, I got to put that on the list. And so my list is growing extremely long of places that we need to go. But
we live on the beautiful planets. There's so many places to explore. We are so lucky.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, Chloe, it's been awesome to have you on the podcast. I really appreciate it. If people want to reach out and learn more about Paaw, maybe they've listened to this and like, man, I really want to adopt a pet. What's the best way to connect with you and reach out?
On LinkedIn, Chloe Fabiani, CHLOE, and my last name is Fabiani, Fabiani.
Awesome. Well, we will have a link to your LinkedIn profile and the Paaw website and everything else on the show notes. So, Chloe, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I love the conversation.
I hope you found at least one actionable insight from this episode of the Growth Capital Podcast, your one-stop shop for insights from private equity leaders, CEOs, and startup entrepreneurs on starting, investing in, and scaling successful businesses, as well as the role having the right talent plays in growing a successful business. It would be greatly appreciated if you would rate and review this podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and drop us a comment so we can expand the audience of this podcast. Thank you for all your support, and don't forget about upcoming episodes dropping every Tuesday.